lead of lesson plan in the successful conduction of the classes. After that, Mrs. Shashi Rao ma'am took a very important session on the communication skills. She talked about the four most important pillars of the communication, LSWR, i.e. listening, speaking, writing and reading. In the later part of her training, she discussed about the first pillar of the communication, that is listening. She underlined the difference between hearing and listening. At the same time, she also discussed about the advantages of effective listening and barriers in effective English, characteristics of a good listener, and various stages of listening. For example, hearing, recognizing, interpreting, evaluating, responding, and remembering. She engaged with the audience, and the participation from the trainees and was equally reciprocal. Afternoon session was conducted by Mrs. Rumana Feroz ma'am on one-word substitution. She discussed certain ways to teach vocabulary in the classroom. She also highlighted the importance of teaching vocabulary through classroom activities by doing some activity with the group of learned teachers and trainees. The trainees also gave a brief comprehension test regarding the sessions conducted in the morning. So I think you people remember that we wrote the answers of 5 questions. After that, Ms. Manjulata Yadav ma'am took over and she talked about poetry, its relevance for the students of high school and intermediate classes. She once again talked about the significance of teaching to the lesson plan. In the concluding session of the afternoon, Mr. Arvind Mishra sir talked about drama, its different types, and how drama can be useful in the classes, though drama is not anymore the part of syllabus. Day 2 began with the deliberations of Mrs. Rumana Feroz ma'am on the topic teaching of grammar, its origin, father of grammar, who is lively merit, methods of teaching grammar, which include inductive method, deductive method, traditional method, incidental, correlational method, and informal method. And she also talked about 7 key principles of teaching grammar. For example, building up subject matter, giving talk, a high priority in the classes, remembering the purpose of teaching grammar in contextual way, reading aloud and discussing how various authors use grammar in their texts, being systematic and making the learning of grammar fun in the classes. From there on, the next training session was very aptly conducted by Mr. Shashi Rao ma'am on the topic of speaking. This is also the second most important pillar of communication. She talked in great length about the use of simple words and small sentences in the classroom, speaking with clarity, correctness, intonation, and accent. She then talked about the non-verbal communication such as posture, gesture, facial expression, body language, eye contact, touch, and space, as these are equally important for the effective communication to take place. She also discussed about the ways to improve the speaking skills. These are short English audio or video clips, help of radio, repeat and record method, compare and correct. Before proceeding for the lunch, Mrs. Manjulata Yadav ma'am took a session on the importance of teaching prose and relevance of lesson plans. So that we can see lesson plans are so important in teaching. Post-lunch session began with an interesting topic that was picture composition and story writing. A picture was given to the group of trainees and they were asked to describe the picture accordingly. Later on, a representative from each group presented the description of the picture. This lesson was conducted by Mrs. Manjulata Yadav ma'am. The closing part of the second day training program was conducted by Mr. Arvind Mishra sir on the importance of using language games in the classes and how can a teacher with the implementation of language games make the vocabulary learning a fun. He also engaged the erudite trainees in an engrossing session of the life and works of William Shakespeare. Thank you very much for your patient listening. Let's have a great
Thank you very much.